afternoon. Hello, how are you? Happy Stubbins. I'm working on a sock and some self-striping sock yarn. I can't remember what the yarn is. I was saying yesterday, I bought it a long time ago. I think it's Zauberball. I bought it in Australia and brought it back here with me. I think it might be a Zauberball. Huh. Working today. What are you working at today? Thanks. It's actually, if you go back 2 streams ago, I started it as a cuff down sock and was doing a sort of undulating rib pattern and knitted a couple inches on it and decided I didn't like it. So I frogged it and started again from toe up, obviously. I got a toe here. And I'm doing just a simple 4-row broken rib across the top of the foot. Oh, I work for Amazon too. Hey, how stray, what a small world. I work for AWS actually. Yeah, so I'm doing just a sort of simple broken rib across the top of the foot. Basically the rib I was doing was kind of fighting with the self stripes, and because these colors are so strong, it just didn't look good. So I figure a smaller pattern, a sort of simpler pattern might compete less with the stripes. BNA too. I am Muck 14 right here, baby. Where's BNA? I don't even know where that is. Oh, socks. I mean, yeah, I think it took me a while to work up to socks. So I'm using, I don't like double pointed needles very much. I can do it if I have to. But so you see, I'm doing a magic loop with one circular needle. But this sock is basically just knitting, you know? There's not a lot more to it than that. There's a few techniques to get it started for going in the round. And oh, Middle Tennessee, I see. Yeah, Muck 14, I'm in Munich, in Germany. But before that, I was at SID 12 in Sydney. And moved to Germany last year. But I grew up in Indiana. What a small world this is. Close to Nashville. My dad went to Gatlinburg for spring break. Well, took himself on a bit of a spring break, you know, a little retirement weekend away down to Gatlinburg recently. Sent me a bunch of pictures from it. It's an interesting looking place. So obviously the bottom of the sock, the foot of the sock is just plain stocking stitch. So on that side it's just plain knitting. because you don't want anything sort of bumpy on the bottom of your foot. It won't feel nice when you're wearing it. And then on the top part, obviously the toe is plain because that's as I was getting it going. And then there's a row of pearl, and then you do the sort of broken rib part. About 3 hours from Gatlinburg. Cool. No, it was Indiana to Sydney, Australia. Well, no, it was Indiana to London. I lived in London for a couple. Been living overseas for 20 years. It's not a recent change. I spent a couple years in London, 99, 2001, and then met my partner who was Aussie and lived in Sydney for pretty much 19 years. And then last year we decided at the start of the year that it would be fun, since both of our companies have offices overseas in Europe, to go live in Europe for a while. We made that decision about 2 months before COVID. Yeah. So I was last in Indiana. I was there actually in January 2020. We had a big, AWS had a big event in Chicago. And so went there, went to the event, and then took a week in early Jan to visit the fam. And that was the last time I was in the States, thanks to COVID. More than a year now. Usually I like to go back more frequently than that. It's a lot closer from Germany to Indiana, too. It's only like an 8-hour flight as opposed to, Sydney to LA is like 14 plus another 5, then over to 4 or 5 to Chicago, and then, it's a pain. Germany had actually a pretty good run when COVID first hit. Like, they were one of the countries that were sort of handling it the best. Like, they had a lot of infections, but the mortality rate was quite low. Their healthcare system's quite well run. And so we sort of, sitting in Sydney, were like, well, if you're going to go anywhere, Germany seems like a pretty safe bet. Like, they're very organized and efficient. They're keeping track of it. So we got here end of August, and you had to wear masks in public transport and in shops, but like the restaurants were still open and things like that. But then as we went into autumn and winter, things got really quite bad. And pretty much lockdown started November, December, and went on for like 3 months. Like, all non-essential shops were closed. We're at the state now where you have to wear an N95 mask. None of these face masks or gaiters or whatever. You have to wear like an N95 mask. I went to the grocery store on Friday, and it's the first time since Christmas that I'd had to queue up to get into the grocery store because they're strictly limiting the number of people. But yeah, the vaccination rollout for some reason was stupidly slow here. And we finally just hit 1 million vaccinations in one day. So they're optimistic that they're going to offer it to all adults by end of June. So I'm hopeful. Like, I moved here to travel Europe and get to see Germany, and barely left the house in 6 months. But hopefully by the end of summer, we will actually be able to start to get to do stuff. Yeah, well, we're in Munich, and we live, honestly, 3 blocks from where they hold Oktoberfest. It was canceled when we got here, and it looks extremely likely it's going to be canceled this year. So we got to stay for at least one, Bavaria has like a lot of holidays, but pretty much everything's been canceled. Yesterday was May Day, and normally they'd be raising maypoles and having festivals, and the beer gardens would be open. All shut. It's very depressing. I went for a long bike ride yesterday to bike past all these like restaurants and beer gardens and people and shops, and it's a beautiful spring day, and you think there would be so much life right now, and everything's shut. Yeah, the infection rate was really high from Christmas onwards, but it seems like the vaccination strategy is finally ramping up and they're finally starting to get the numbers trending in the right direction. Yeah. I mean, look, it's a little hard like to watch like my friends back in Australia who are all like going out to restaurants and life there is pretty good. But at the same time, their immunization strategy is screwed as well. Like we'll probably get it in Germany sooner than we would have in Sydney. And so, yes, they can travel quite a bit internally. Hey, thanks for the follow, Trevin 1971. Um, yeah, I don't know. If I were in Australia, wouldn't be traveling to any other countries, that's for sure. But we have jobs we can do from home and a nice house, and things could be a hell of a lot worse. Seems like the state's doing a lot better. Like my whole family over there pretty much has been vaccinated, which is such a relief. Yeah, unfortunately, the area my family all live in is Amish country, and they're not getting vaccinated, obviously. So it's just pretty rampant. But at least my family have gotten it. Hey, Sam. My audio is better now. What from the last time you were on? I got the fancy microphone going this time. This sock is so much easier to do during the day when I can actually see. You watched my first stream with no, yeah. I've gotten a lot better at it. I've been doing this for the last couple months now. 1% of the population a day getting vaccinated. That's amazing. That's just really incredible. Yeah, at the moment, just really hearing sort of terrible things coming out of India and really thinking about my friends who are with family there. I'm really sore today from that bike ride yesterday. I don't know how I get my shoulders sore riding a bicycle, but I did. So if you haven't done socks yet, Happy Stabbins, what are you knitting? What are you doing? Scarves, jumpers? I mean, it's Tennessee. It's going into spring, summer there. It's not exactly the knitting time of the year, is it? got into Fair Isle and have been making cotton beanies. Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, I did a lot of, if you go back and watch my streams over the winter, the last two projects I worked on were Fair Isle. So I've kind of scratched the, well, and I did this one last year as well. So I did several Fair Isle projects, and I think I'm ready for a bit of a break from Fair Isle for a while. Wore a beanie, wore it while you mowed, and didn't even break a sweat. Yeah, I've been knitting with thinner wools. Like this was, a 4-ply. This one I'm wearing. There it is. And the two Fair Isle I did were sort of in a thinner fingering weight yarn, but which is nicer to wear. You get more part of the year you can wear it in, but man, it takes a lot longer to knit. This black 4-ply is so hard to see. People hate on cotton. I like a cotton acrylic blend just because I find cotton on its own can be heavy, like literally kind of heavy, and it can sort of sag. And so I've knitted a few things where it's a cotton acrylic blend, and I like that because it sort of lightens up the cotton a little bit. It gives a little bit more sort of bounce and stretch. Otherwise, I've done a few things out of cotton, but they tend to just sort of literally the weight of them pulls it down. It doesn't have a lot of elasticity on its own. There's a really nice one, a US yarn, brown sheep cotton fleece, which I think is like a cotton wool blend, actually. I managed to get a hold of, I think I did a direct order from them once for a bunch of friends in Australia. We all ordered a bunch of stuff, and that's a really nice one too, because it wears like cotton, but it gives a little bit of extra warmth as well because of the wool, but it's not itchy. Works for hats in your experience. Yeah, and you can chuck them in the washing machine, and I think the only, you just need to be careful with a cotton hat. Like, hopefully you use ribbing or something like that so that you get some elasticity so it stays on. Otherwise, they could get a bit saggy. But I've also seen people just recommending, thread some elastic through it. Yeah, check out the brown sheep cotton fleece. It's made in like Nebraska or something like that. Got nice colors. I've done a couple in that and was really quite happy with it. And then I also did, I have a pink hoodie that's in one of the gallery there, which was Knit Picks Comfy, which I think is a cotton acrylic, like a worsted weight, which was quite nice as well. Like, that's warm, but it doesn't feel, it is a heavy garment, but the acrylic lightens it up a little bit. You put like a 2-inch, ribbed, that's good. Oh, my husband will only wear cotton beanies. He finds wool on his head too itchy. to work out what kind of a heel I'm gonna put on this sock. It's been a while since I've done a toe-up sock. Thanks. No, if you go back and watch my first stream, as Sam was saying, like, there's no sound. I had the I didn't have any of this. Like, I studied other people's and shamelessly copied what they did. Plus, part of it is just figuring out what the software you use. I mean, I just use plain old OBS. I don't use Streamlabs or anything like that. But I discovered that, oh yeah, it can do a nice little rotating gallery. I should probably add some more pictures to it. I haven't updated it in a long time. Yeah. Streaming is all about stealing from what other people are doing. Dropped a stitch. Just fix that one. If you could knit a beanie, so are you knitting the beanies in the round or are you sewing them up? If you can knit a beanie, you can knit a sock. Absolutely. Yeah, streaming is definitely like my only social outlet at the moment, so that is very true. If you're knitting in the round, you can totally knit a sock. So what I'll make sure I do before I cast on, I'll make sure I save casting on the second sock for the stream, because I'm using Judy's magic cast on for the toe, and that's an interesting technique, probably one that people would like to see. There's obviously articles online on how to do it, but I'll save when I do the second sock and make sure I do it on stream. I had to re-look up how to do it. I hadn't done it in so long. You close your hats with deep ends. Yeah, I mean, I actually had this going on 2 circulars, which is normally the way I like to do socks because I do both at the same time. But this stupid wool, which I bought on the ball like this, you can't, like, there's no center end, so I can't do both socks at the same time. I have to do one at a time, which is annoying. I will get very bored by the time I do the second sock. But yeah, I normally do 2 circulars method for doing 2 socks at the same time. But it was annoying me the other day on stream because the ends, like, let's have the other needle here, and they keep scratching on the desk, so that's why I got rid of one and I'm just magic looping it. I can only do like an hour at a time on these socks because the small needles honestly give me a little bit of hand cramp. I like to mix it up. So I've got 2 projects on the go here. And the other thing is it twists up. Like I get this, so I gotta periodically like stop and let it dangle and untwist itself. Come on. I mean, self-striping is always fun. It's always impressive to other people. Oh, how did you do that? You just knit it and it just comes off the ball that way. Also, I feel like I have terrible posture when I knit. I hunch over. Yeah, self-striping. It's nice. Gotta try and remember. I feel like it's a Zauberball, but I need to double check. I think I remember the yarn store I bought it at, and I'm pretty sure it was a Zauberball. Or whatever company makes Zauberball. You're still twisting up on me. I know, that's the hard part. I gotta remember what row I'm on, and the black is so hard to see the stitches. Germany does have some pretty nice yarn stores. Like, so we came on vacation a couple years back, which is sort of what also gave us the idea to move to Munich. But and so I visited several, of course, because we're knitters. That's what we do. We check out local yarn stores, and also I was buying some souvenirs for friends back in Australia. And so Munich's got some nice ones. I think, the one that I like, that's sort of like my my yarn store, I would say, is Ardelia. Hey, Alizara. Yeah, toiling away in Sleeveland. Keep going. Ardelia is probably my local one, which is, it's like a 15-minute bike ride away. It's sort of towards the middle of Munich. Nice little shop crammed full of stuff. There's also one called Die Mercerie, which is sort of a little boutique-y, obviously French style name, but it's a little one, very, very stylish and cute. Been in there and looked at their stuff. There's also one, what's the one down I actually bought a couple balls of wool from them. They're down, it's like part of a craft store in a department store in the middle of Munich. There's Die Wolle or something like that. There's a little wool store, and they've got, I think I bought a couple bowls of acrylic for a craft project from them. So I've been to a few. Obviously with lockdown, they're all closed. So you can't actually go. Like, there's a great sewing shop in my little neighborhood, and it's been closed the whole time we've been here because of lockdown. Yeah. Alizara always joins me on here. Are any moose spottings today, Alizara? Are the moose crossing in Sweden today? I should open the stream. I don't know if my computer can do them all. Do it at the same time. Yeah, so I would have loved to have gone to like some German stitching bitches and things like that, but they're all closed. And my Sydney knitting group, they've actually gone back to doing in-person, like, for a while they were doing Zoom, which was great. The time zone meant I would have to get up very early in order to catch them. Well, early for me, not early for normal people. And so no, I haven't had an in-person knitting circle in a really, 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 really long time. Oh, you don't have any good? Oh, the moose. I was like, you talking yarn stores? No, you're talking moose. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that the moose are going through downtown Stockholm or whatever. just comes off and it just coils up on itself. It must be really over twisted, over spun as well. You don't have any good yarn stores either. Oh, that's too bad. I would have thought, well, but then again, I don't know any Swedish yarn brands, or I don't know the Swedish tradition. Like, I mean, I know sort of Norwegian sweaters. I don't know that and like Estonian is sort of, I'm talking in Australia. These are sort of some of the European traditions we're familiar with. Like we're familiar with Estonian and probably even like, I said Norwegian sweaters, Icelandic, the Lopi stuff, Danish. But yeah, I don't think I know of any like Swedish knitting designers, or not off the top of my head anyway. Stopped in Reykjavik once. We were on vacation flying from London to visit my family in the States, and had a stop off in Reykjavik, and I was quite interested by Sweden does hand spun yarn. Oh, all right. Yeah, I was quite interested by the Icelandic sweaters. People had told me about them, and Icelandic wool. But man, first of all, it's super thick. And it's also like really hairy. Like it felt very itchy to me, like something you would knit and wear outside of your clothes. But not something I would ever want next to my skin. Now, let me find, I have the Moose Stream. Like I have it, I don't know that I have it bookmarked, but my friend and I were talking about it just recently. Let me find you the Moose Stream. There it is, the live stream for the Moose. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, that one. That's the live stream. Oh, I've seen some. I've mainly seen birds on it when I've been watching it. There's some really cool, like, I guess it's a crane, like in the river sometimes. Then they look quite big, actually. Yeah, no. So my colleague who's Swedish sent that around, and he shared it on Twitter. And yeah, it's really calming. I enjoy watching it. I just don't think I can do it and stream at the same time. I don't know that my computer will keep it up. Last I saw it had 6 on the moose counter. I don't know what it's up to now. Yeah, the big birds. Yeah, the birds are gorgeous. It's very peaceful. So he was sharing it because apparently they're using some sort of, computer vision AIML to identify the moose. So they've actually got like machine learning algorithms running on it. It's up to 15. Oh man, there've been a lot of moose in the last few days. They're spotting the moose, not with humans, but with a computer, which is kind of fun and geeky as well. Oh, see, now you're making me want to stop streaming and go watch the moose stream. I'll do a bit. I'll watch the moose stream this afternoon. Is it on TV too, or is it just on the internet? I thought he said it was like broadcast on TV too, but maybe. Oh, I'm not doing much teaching today. I don't know. What do you want to know? On the TV too. Yeah, there was a thing last year where like slow TV, sort of got big. There was like some famous it was in Iceland, wasn't it? There was like a live stream of someone like 24 hours of like driving around Iceland and like just Sigur Rós playing a soundtrack to it. It was just like 24 hours. There was on Netflix for a while. They had you could watch. I don't know if it's still there. If you searched for slow TV, they had the back to back challenge, um, which is the knitting, where they shear a sheep, spin the wool, and knit a sweater. And so they actually have it was like maybe the Norwegian team or I don't think it was the Swedish team. I think it was like the Finnish or the Norwegian team trying to break the Australians record, because I believe the Australians are still the world record holder for the back to back. But you could watch that, which was you just put it on and knit and watch 8 hours of people spinning and knitting the wool straight off the shape. There was one around Easter time last year. I remember watching in Australia. I think Cadbury did it, but it was like the journey of chocolate, and it was like a slow TV, all the different ingredients, how they're harvested, like going to the various processing plants. I like slow TV. That's probably why I stream knitting. Yeah, well, the heel is an interesting one because I'm going to have to remember how to actually do it. So there's a few different options you can do for sock heels. One option would be to do an afterthought heel, which is where I actually don't knit the heel for now. For example, when I knit across the sole, would just use a bit of scrap yarn to do one row as like a sacrifice. And then later I would unpick that yarn. Hey, thanks for the follow, Rich Develops. SBS did the Gone. You're right. That's one of them as well. That was another one. I really liked that one too. I think I saw a bit of that. Yeah, SBS had a lot of them. So you can do an afterthought heel, which is where you sort of put off that decision until later, and you sort of put in a row of temporary yarn that you can then unpick and pick up those stitches, and that way you just knit a tube and you do the heel later. So that's an option. You can do a short row heel, which goes back and forth with short rows. I tend to like a traditional gusset heel, which is like the sock kind of gets wider up the ankle, and then there's a little turned heel, and then you pick up along the gut. Like it's the reverse of the way you would do it from the leg down. So that's what I'm thinking of doing, is doing that style of heel so obviously when you knit the heel, the sock is this way. And so basically the top, there will be a bit that increases and it will get wider. And then at some point you stop, you go back and forth on just these stitches for the heel, and then you pick up around here. So yeah, you can do a bottom-up gusset. It involves increasing, obviously, instead of decreasing. Oh, Jacob August 1, thank you. Wow, I'm so close to 100. I'm at 97. How exciting. Yeah, you can do a bottom-up gusset, which is my first inclination just because I think it fits the nicest. And he's got sort of big ankles, I guess. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. All right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pause. I'm going to do a row on the cabled vest because this thing is never going to grow if I don't keep working on it. Switch over to cables for a while. Where's my pattern? So this is, for anyone who hasn't seen it, Dr. G's memory vest. And look at this, Alizara. I actually marked off the row last night when I finished it. First time ever. So I'm on row 46. Cool. Oh yeah, I will definitely make sure when I do the gusset, I will do the heel on stream. I promise you. It will just, I need to do like another, because you want to start the gusset maybe 2 inches before. I got a little bit, another couple inches to go on there. All right, back to the vest. It's nice. We were saying last night, it's good to switch to different wool thicknesses. It keeps your hands from getting repetitive stress injuries. Not nice to hang with fellow knitters. You're making a jumper for oh, you're doing the penguin jumpers. Those have been going around for like 20 years. For the ones in Phillip Island, or which penguins are you knitting for? I remember there was that big charity drive for them a long time ago. I didn't think they needed any more. Are they still looking for jumpers for the penguins? Because, dude, that thing about knit for the, the penguins who were in the oil slick, that was honestly like 20 years ago, but it just keeps going around. I actually went and saw the penguins in Phillip Island maybe 5 years ago. Yeah, I just double check. Go to the Phillip Island, because I don't want to dissuade you. It's a very nice thing you're doing, but the last I heard, they didn't actually need them. Like, basically the ones that people knit, they put them on toys and sell them in the gift shop. So just double check if it's actually going to be used by a penguin. Because I think when they originally put out the call, they were like inundated. And then it became one of those like early internet things where that email just kept going around. And for like years, they just kept getting like like tons of penguin sweaters. But that's very nice to do charity knitting. Oh, you're from Melbs. I haven't been to Melbs in ages. I was from Sydney. I moved to Munich last year. But I used to travel to Melbourne quite regularly for work. Yeah, the little penguins out at Phillip are very cute. So this row I'm on is an even numbered row, and the even numbered rows don't have cables. So I'm just knitting the knits and purling the pearls as I come to it. So this pattern, as I said, the pattern's called Dr. G's Memory Vest. So it's so named. It's on Ravelry if you look it up. But yeah, it was designed for someone who had Alzheimer's, which is why Dr. G had Alzheimer's, and so it's what's the memory vest. So to get the pattern, you have to donate to Alzheimer's research, which is quite nice. So it's got sort of these panels of two sort of groups of cables that twist in opposite directions. There's a section that I've been calling the ladder up the middle there. Look at it's funny, you can see the difference in my tension, like that purl stitch on one side of the ladder to that side. Obviously, this thing needs a bit of a wash and a block so that it will actually display itself properly. And then the central motif is a sort of a tree that goes up. So on the even numbered rows, you just knit the knits and purl the pearls. So nothing too exciting happens on this row. Yeah, after saying Melbs. Well, one of my best friends from college in the States, she actually moved to Melbourne and married a Melburnian, but they have since moved to America. But I used to go visit them quite regularly. I think my husband nearly divorced me. The one day I messaged him, I said, you know what, I think I'm finally ready to admit it. Melbourne is cooler than Sydney. And he was like, don't come home. Melbourne just always had a lot more life. Like, you could walk around Melbourne on like a Wednesday night and like the restaurants would be full and people would be out, and like Sydney in the CBD on a weekday night was just always Deadsville. It's gotten better in the last 10 years, but still not quite like Melbourne. But Sydney's prettier. The only thing I am doing interesting on this rows is the dividing stitch between each of the motifs. These are twisted knits. So you knit them through the back of the loop. So here's one of the twisted stitches. So instead of knitting it that way through the front, actually knit it through the back to twist it. And it just makes it sort of stand out a little bit more. It's got a slightly It twists it so it kind of raises it up a little bit. Melbourne had it rough go. Melbourne probably had it the worst of any place in Australia with regards to COVID. Like they had a hard lockdown last year for several months, and did an amazing job getting it under control. Oh, that's an interesting. How would you do the twisted knits being a combination knitter? Because you twist every knit. It's just on the purl you untwist them, right? That's what combination is. So you would just not, you would have to do something different on the purl side for those. That is interesting. But yeah, Melbourne did a great job of getting it under control. I mean, right now, most of Australia is doing pretty good, other than the occasional quarantine lapse. But I'm really hoping, yeah, 112 days. God, yes. I really just hope that if we can get vaccinated here and Australia eventually relax the quarantine a little bit for vaccinated people, that we'll be able to come visit my in-laws maybe around Christmas or something, I hope. Be nice to go back and see everybody. Okay, yellow means I'm halfway around the round. So even though this is thicker wool, this pattern takes so much longer to do a single round than the sock does. Getting to the end of the ball, so it's sort of tangled up now. This is some good Aussie wool I'm knitting with. This is good old Joe Sharp Silk Road DK Tweed, which is an Australian brand. Oh, you were in Italy. Wow. Yeah, Italy locked down really hard too. We were supposed to go a month ago. We had made a booking 6 months ago for Osteria Francescana, like, you know, which was at one point rated the best restaurant in the world. We managed to get a booking thinking 6 months from now. We'll be able to go 6 months from now. We had to cancel. Heartbreaking. I thought Sweden was screwed at the start of COVID because they just didn't lock down at all, right? Is it better now? I thought they went for the, just herd immunity kind of thing and wasn't doing so well. I love how we're talking about this. We shouldn't talk about it. We should let people have an escape. You're not locked down. Wow. There will be some cabling on the next row. There's something to look forward to. Don't yarn, but oh, yeah, yarn bombing. I just feel like there's so many people. Give your knitting to people. Just rather than for people than for putting it on a. I was whenever I see it, I always feel it looks really sad. You know, it looks. I'm sure it looks nice on day one, but like whenever I see graffiti knitting these days, it's like sad knitting on a sad tree that's gone through the weather. And I always think, oh, give it to a person to keep them warm. Okay. Blue means round complete. Whew. Okay, that's row 46. Let's move my row marker. All right. Odd numbered row, get to do some cabling. Yeah, don't put your nice wool on a tree. Buy the really cheap acrylic nasty stuff if you're gonna put it on a tree. Don't put something that don't put something really soft and nice. Don't put the cashmere on the tree. Yeah. They're really expensive skeins. No. $20 a line brand to make a tree. That sounds like a better plan. That's a good plan. Okay, up to the tree motif, which is where I'm going to have some cables happening. So you want to learn something? We'll talk cables here. So on the central tree motif, the side branches are obviously, you know, slanting in towards the center. So when I get to this knit stitch right here, it's going to need to move over one more to the left. So it needs to swap with this purl stitch next to it, and this knit stitch needs to swap with the purl stitch there. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Yes, the cable's on the tree, but I'm not going to use a cable needle because cable needles are a pain. And we don't need no stinking cable needles. All right, so I've purled across to the slanting branch there. So that branch, so what the instructions would tell me to do here, and I've actually got instructions in front of me. So what it says to do for this is slip one onto cable needle, hold in front, purl one, knit one from cable needle. So it's telling me that this stitch needs to go to the front because it's going to be crossing over the purl. So what I'm instead going to do is put my needle into the purl from the back, use my thumb to pinch them, slide them both off the needle, and then put the knit stitch on and then put the purl stitch on. So I've rearranged them. On the needle. And now I can knit them from this position. So I'll do the purl and I'll do the knit. And there is our cable. And I've got a purl stitch, and then the trunk of the tree is a slip. Okay, and now this particular, now I've got the other branch, this time it says slip stitch to cable needle holding back, knit one, purl one. So this purl stitch would go to the back. That means the knit stitch comes in front. So I'm going to grab the knit stitch from the front. I'm going to slide them both off, and then I'm going to rearrange them. So you don't actually have to follow the instructions for the cable, because cable needles are dumb. You just have to work out which stitch is going in front of the other one and rearrange them. And there we go. Does need a block, this thing. I need to join in a new ball soon. What was the $370 one? Manos del Uruguay. No, what? What was that? Was that, what's that stuff that's really expensive? Quivet or something like that? There's some stuff that's ridiculously expensive. Oh, all you do is follow the pattern. You can do socks. Trust the pattern. I'm thinking, you know what now? I can probably start removing these stitch markers as I come to them. I don't really need them to mark out the motifs anymore. They're pretty established. I shall just take them out as I come to them. Put them in my little box. You hate following patterns. Well, your first socks, it's like baking a cake. There's some things where the science of it you actually have to follow. You can't really wing it, and socks. But once you know the basics of sock mechanics, then you can start messing with it. you tried the clip the whole tree branch thing? What are you talking about? You lost me on that one. Okay, I'm back to the tree panel. So I'll do my little tree branch crosses again. Oh, clipping the tree branch thing. I see. Clipping on the stream. Well, I've got another round to go before I do the proper cables. The 2-stitch, these twisty ones. Yeah, I'm like, you clipping trees? What are you clipping trees for? Suddenly we're talking about, you're watching a gardening stream at the same time? Oh, forgot to take that one off. I feel like it'll be slightly faster without the stitch markers. I don't need them anymore. And then back to the blue means I've completed another round. Definitely gonna leave that marker in. The changing them. I mean, just picture yourself doing it with a cable needle. If it tells you to hold the stitch in the front, that means it's crossing over the top of the other stitch. So you want to get the other stitch from behind. Yeah, you kind of just have to do the reverse. All right, that was row 47. That was row 47. Yes. Okay, I'm on to row 48, so this will be just, this is a rest row, so knit the knits and purl the pearls. So I see there's a few people watching. One thing I always feel like I should call out for beginners, and I probably do it too fast. Oh no! Crisis. My stupid circular needle just popped off. Lovely. All right, so we got something to fix. So let me just use the tip of that and we'll be all right. She'll be all right. And pick all these up. These Denise needles suck. I should get rid of them. They're so old. And they just kind of twist and click on, and so, yep, they're actually quite easy to accidentally pop off. So, first challenge in dealing with a crisis, don't freak out and make it worse. I'm being very calm. I could also use another needle. That's another thing I could do here is use another needle to pick these up. A thinner one. Might be a little easier as well. Just so they don't fall down. And then I can put them on one by one. Make sure I'm not twisting them. Actually, this is an area where a cable needle can be handy for like rescuing dropped stitches. So don't, you know, throw them in the bin. Okay, now I need to rejoin this sucker. And try and rejoin it so that it doesn't pop off again. I feel like there's another stitch dropped in there too. Oh no, that's it. You little. Yeah, I have the Addy clicks too. But the ones you screw, like all circular needles, have a tendency to bust at some point. Suppressy, thank you. Oh my gosh, another follower. Woo! Oh my gosh, 98. I'm so close. All right. Back to the knitting. Crisis momentarily averted. So what I was saying is, one thing I do that I probably do a little fast for beginners that I should do slower is, like, for example, right here, I'm switching from a knit to a purl. And the key with going between a knit to a purl is you need to move the yarn between the needle tips to the front for a purl, because when you purl, the yarn is in front. And front means the side of the knitting that's the side that you're on. If I actually tried to purl without doing that, if I left the wool back here and then went to purl, I actually make an extra loop on the needle. We call that a yarn over. It's a hole. It's going to make a hole in my knitting. It's an extra stitch. So anytime I switch from knit to purl or vice versa, you just need to move the wool between the needles to the place where it's meant to be. And these are the stitches I dropped. So just make sure they're not twisted before I actually knit them. Or I didn't split them when I picked them up or anything like that. This is why I put tape on that join, because that one popped early and I actually put sticky tape on it. I should put sticky tape on this one too. I actually have my tape around here. Just tape these damn needles together for this project. Okay, and then that's the purl stitch. Oh, cables that spin helps with the unscrewing. That's good to know. I mean, I don't tend to move my... Oh, that looks like a dropped stitch. Is that a dropped one? Or is it just extra loose for some reason? It's not dropped, it's just extra loose. It must have been from where it broke. Yeah, y'all keep telling me about the Chiago. They seem like really nice. Just make sure that's not a dropped stitch, is it? There's nothing dropped in there. Why is it so loose there? Must just be where I just undo it and redo it because it feels a little like the yarn split or something. Oh yeah, there's like an extra loopy bit on the yarn there for some stupid reason. Oh, it's on the twisted stitch there. I didn't. When I picked up the dropped stitch, I kind of split it. It's better. Yeah, Chiago definitely seemed to be the like trendy one of the moment. I've seen them all over Instagram as well lately. Yeah, I think I was just tugging on it a little too hard when I was trying to move the stitches around. I don't, normally the left needle stays pretty stationary the way I knit. The right one tends to twist a lot more. Yeah, I think I just pulled a little hard on it and twisted it at the same time. Also, these are pretty old, so I've kind of worn down maybe the little clips on them as well. Though the Addy Clicks use a spring-loaded thing. These aren't. These of Denise are just, you know, the plastic bits that click together. Just be more careful when I'm sliding along there. The mini no memory cables. Should do is wait for them to go on sale. Oh, actually, maybe that was the side seam. I should leave that one on, so I know where the side seam is, just in case. I haven't looked ahead to see if I'm gonna need to do something with the side seam. Evidently, well, I'll split for the armholes at some point, presumably. You found a German Etsy seller that has them cheap. Oh, share the link. Bitte. Or whisper it to me. I just feel bad buying new needles when I have plenty of needles. They're just not as nice as they could be. I think I might have to switch to a different, I might have to see if I can find a different needle and switch off this one. This one's annoying me now. Wolfy yarn. All right, let me click on that and open that up. Good to know. Oh, they're on holiday at the moment, but I'll keep an eye on that. Thank you. Careful. Let's get to the end of this round and then I'll rummage through my needles and see what I got. The next round's a cable round too. Big cable round. Oh, I see. I felt it. I felt it that time and I caught it. You little devil. I think that's it for the Denise. I think I'm gonna give up on them. A sucker for nice packaging. About ready to start another ball of wool too. Little children's stickers, very cute. Okay, Denise, this is the last of you, and I'm swapping you out. Okay, what size am I actually using? They are marked, but they're marked in the US sizes, which I can never remember what the hell they actually refer to. So I'm actually doing, I think it's a 5 mil. Is it a 5 mil? 6, yes. It says 6, which is a 5 mil just. All right, so I need a 5 mil circular. Let me grab the knitting bucket. Yeah, the Denise, I mean, they're very old. Is Knit Denise, is it even, do they even still exist? KnitDenise.com. Oh, they do. Oh, wow. Wonder what their needles look like now. Oh no, they're still doing this type. Wow. Wow, they're still persisting with them. That is interesting. Okay. Well, so I need a 5. It's 2.75. Where's that other one? Put some things away while I'm doing this. Okay. I feel like 5 mil. Do I have some like 5 mil knit picks or something like that? Here's the Addy Clicks. I mean, they did come in this giant case. Which I left back in Australia. Because who can bring a giant case? Storage is at a premium. There. A 5. And what is this random needle I have lying around? What is that? That is a 3.75. What a random size. What was I using that for? Maybe mine should go in a museum. Yeah, I'm just going to use a regular old, oh, I've got an Addy in a 5. Fixed. Let's just do that. And we're giving up on the Denise. So what I will do is I will knit off of that one onto that one. That's right? This is a 5. Double check that's a 5 and that's a 5. Okay. Can buy that exact set. Wow. All right. Good to know. I got the like museum edition. I mean, I probably bought those 15, 16, 17 years ago, a long time ago. I don't remember where I got them. I must have ordered them off the internet. It's not like they were very common in Australia. Let's keep that marker on. All right. So I'm switching from the Denise to the Addy, and I feel like this project is going to kick into high gear here. Oh my God, the stitches are gonna move around so much easier. I hope you're not gonna be able, this is my one worry, changing needles mid-project. Am I gonna be able to see a line, like where the tension changes? Hope not. All right, we got a cable cross to do. So, I'm at the group of 4. So if you look at it, it's like 2 strands. So these 2 need to cross on top of these 2. So these 2 need to come forward and these 2 need to go backwards, which means I need to catch the ones that are crossing over. This is, see, the Denise were slightly pointier than the knit picks. This is going to be one problem with this, is actually doing the cabling. This is actually kind of hard to get the... There we go. I'll slide them all 4 off. Rearrange. And knit. And to glue together. Yeah, a lot of the circular needles, the quality's not been great. I know, you know, when the knit picks came out originally, well, what are now Knit Pro, I just remember at the knitting shop I used to work with, yeah, we always had people coming in going, yeah, the end pulled off. Even just the tulip fixed bamboo needles, you'd get the ends coming off quite a lot and people bringing them in for a replacement. Okay, this is also, I need to make a rung on the ladder, so I purl across the ladder. I assume Knit Picks changed their name because of Knit Picks, the yarn store, but I don't know that was the case. All right, another cable to cross. So again, I know that these 2 have to go in the front. So you always move the ones with the right knit. Yes, so basically what I do, I use the right needle to grab the ones I'm gonna knit first. So these 2 are gonna come to the front, these 2 are gonna come to the back, but I'm actually gonna end up knitting the ones on the left first. They're gonna move to the front. So I'm gonna grab them from the back, and then when I slide them off, that means they're in the right spot. So yeah, that's what I guess I have to try and put it into words. I use the right needle to grab the stitches that are going to end up closest to it once they're rearranged. Yeah, it looks easy, but it's muscle memory at this point. So you've just gotta, the more you do it. All right, I'm starting the next tree branch. Okay, and now, so yeah. So now the one knit stitch is gonna move to the left with the purl. So that means the purl's gonna end up as the stitch I deal with first. So that's why I grab the purl, and then when I slide them off, it ends up on the end. Yeah, I guess that's the way to think about it. And then slip the center stitch, and then I need so in this one, I'm gonna end up knitting the knit stitch first, so I grab it. So that when you rearrange, because whatever stitch you put on the right, with the tip of the right needle is gonna end up on the end, if that makes sense. And I start the new tree branch. Can you tell they need to go to the front back based on the look of it? I just base it on the look of it. Like, I mean, with a simple cable like this, if you're doing one of those complicated Celtic ones, it can be trickier to know actually which one's going over the top of the other one, you know? Like they split off or whatever. But when you look at this, like you gotta kind of try and think of it in 3 dimensions. These two are gonna come, like each time they come over the stitches on the right. That means they need to be at the end. Or the other way is to just think about it from like, okay, so the pattern says hold the next two at the back. That means I need to grab the other two from the front. You kind of do the opposite of what it says. And then when you slide them off, like then when you put them back on, you can tell it continues the twist. You just need to rearrange them so that they look like the twist below. So like pattern recognition, I guess. Continue getting off of the Denise. All right, so this one is going to twist the opposite direction. So I need to grab these stitches from behind so that when I slide them off and rearrange, the twist is maintained. It's always twisting over that direction. It's much easier to just to do it, you know, and you kind of need to be doing it with your hands to see it. Well, here, I'll do the next one and I'll do it wrong and we'll see if you can, we'll see what it looks like so that we can tell. All right, so next cable. Let's say instead I grab these two from behind, I rearrange on the needle, I put them on. Now when you look at it, what do you see? There's no cross. I've got a snake, like, it's not these two, you know, the two strands, if you think of them as like two bits of rope twisting around each other. This one is doubled back on top and the other one stayed on the bottom, so I can tell that I've done it wrong. It doesn't look right. So I would slide them back. I'll put them back on normally. It's like, yeah, you've got to kind of picture them as a rope, and which sort of strand of the rope is crossing over the other one. There. Now we've got the twist. I mean, sometimes you want that effect, but with this one, it's just a constant twist. And I have done that miscrossed cable many, many a time. Okay, I am nearly the end of this ball of wool. I've only got that much left, and I'm almost at the side seam. So what I might do is actually just join the new ball at the side seam rather than doing it in the middle of like the front of the jumper or something, because that way if there is any wonkiness where I join it in, it's going to be under the arm rather than out in a place that you're going to see. So I'll just do it here right before I get to the side seam. And what I'm going to do, get my new ball of wool. I'm actually going to try and pull out of the center, if I can find the end. For some reason these Joe Sharp balls have not had any luck finding the center pull. It's going to have to just be from the outside. Alright, so I'm just going to start knitting with the new end. I like to leave myself a good, what I'm going to do is break off the old yarn, leaving like a nice sort of 6-8 inch tail there. Decently long tail. I'm gonna start knitting with the new yarn. Again, leaving a nice decent tail. And just make the first few stitches. I usually make 3 or 4 stitches with the new yarn, and then I stop. And what I do is I go back and I take those 2 tails, the old yarn and the new yarn. I'm just gonna tie them together in a bow there, just to keep them out of the way. Tie them together in a little bow. Maybe I'll even double knot it just so it doesn't come undone. And that'll just hang there until the project is done, and I go back and undo that and weave those in. But yeah, that means the end you're weaving in is going to be hidden under the arm. It just makes the join a lot less noticeable. So yeah, it means I did, I guess technically waste like 18 inches of yarn there, but I'd much rather do that than have the join happen in an area where it's noticeable. So it's always nice to join in a new ball. Preferable to join one in at an edge. If you're knitting something flat, join it in at the side. I wouldn't join it in right at the side because, again, that can make the side... Oh, another follower! Stuff Allison made. Thanks, Stuff Allison made. Oh my gosh, I have a feeling then that maybe I'm at 100 because my little thing is not updated. Let me, let's open up in a new tab. I'm looking at my community followers list. How many do I have? Why do you not show me how many I have? Well, it says, no, 100, there it is, 100. Thank you, Tessalia. Oh, that's amazing. Yes, Stuff Allison, you were 100, Allison. Thank you so much. That's really cool. I was hoping I'd hit that. That is amazing. Wow. That's really cool. Yeah, so I was saying, joining in a new ball of wool, doing it at the edge. I also wouldn't do it at the very edge of like a scarf. I usually like to do it in maybe 2 stitches from the edge, just because, again, it can make the edge a little bit wonky. So if it's something you're going to sew together, do it in a couple stitches, because then that means that your edge is nice and unbroken for sewing it up later. It's a little bit nicer. But yeah, you want to kind of try and oh, yay, party time. It's always good to try and do that. All right, another cable crossing. So again, I'm going to pick up these 2 from the front, slide them all off, and rearrange. And then I knit them, and that is the cable. People think cables are such magic, but it's just rearranging the stitches. Fun, 100, triple digits, wow. Another cable, and I grab these ones from the back because it's twisting the opposite direction. And then when I rearrange them, they're twisting over to the left. Okay, to do the rung on the ladder, which means I purl across. Oh, and we're nearly at the end of this horrible needle. My museum piece. Another cable to cross. These cable cross rows on this vest, there's a lot of cables. Every 4th row. I've been streaming. When did I start streaming? Probably around Christmas or so. I think it was over the Christmas holidays, to be honest with you, out of boredom. And I've been going for sort of since then. And it was really slow at first. I think I got the most in one day when I randomly got rated by like 40 people from some lovely British streamer. So that was very nice of them. I never have that many on at one time. Um, that was like the biggest day. I mean, like, there's other ways you can join in a new ball of wool. Like, if you're using 100% wool, I mean, what I would have done is I would have spit felted the ends together. So it was just continuous and I didn't have any ends to weave in. But this wool is not 100% wool. It's 85 wool, 10% silk, 5% cashmere. So I don't think it's actually going to felt together the way 100% wool will. So that's why I didn't bother to try that. But if you're knitting 100% wool, and I'm at the side there, I probably would just, yeah, I'd spit felt it together. You can also do the thing where you knit both yarns together for a couple stitches. Because this yarn is so thick, I knew that would make those stitches quite bulky. Oh yeah, Russian join is another technique. I've seen that one demonstrated. I don't usually use that one. That's another way of doing it. Is that where you like split it and then you sort of twist them together? It basically makes it another one where it's like it's joinless, just effectively. All right, so I need to now cable this one stitch. So the tree branches of the center motif, they're now finally getting to the middle, so I need to cross that one stitch cable to the left. We slip the center stitch. You usually knit the yarns together. Yeah, well, and lace as well, because you're right. It's not like you also have a lot of places to weave in the ends afterwards. So you kind of have to knit them together in that specific instance. But yeah, it depends quite a lot on the thickness of the wool and the project that you're knitting. Start a new tree branch. For this, I said, just drop one and start using the other one and do it under the arm. No one will ever know. Okay, more cables to cross. So again, I'm grabbing these two from the front. If I can get in there, slide them all off, rearrange. You have, yeah, I think you have to sew each end onto itself. Oh, that's right. You and then you sort of take it back. Ah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that one demonstrated again, probably for like lace and things like that, where you really don't want it. You really want to try and hide the join as much as possible, and there really isn't anywhere to hide it. Unlike a garment where you can bury it in the armpit. Okay, we're almost off the Denise. Where's the other end of this one? There it is. More cables. So many cables. I don't know why I've been fighting with the Denise. I should have just put it on the Addy here from the get-go. Probably gonna go so much faster now too. Oh, you've got an article with all different ways to join. That is really useful. look at that. A compendium of yarn joins. Nice. Whoa, some of these I'm not familiar with. Braiding it. How genius is that? Just knit with it. That's what I do. I generally do the just knit with it, but I wouldn't recommend it a ball. What? Yes, just knit with it and tie a bow. What? I can't believe they tell you not to do that. Well, I'm gonna have to go through that at a later date. That's really exciting. Maybe I need to learn some new ways of joining yarn. I always just do that, just knit with it, tie them together in a bow, and weave it in later. Oh, we're off the Denise. Oh, you hated thing. Look at that. I had to sticky tape that one together because it kept, yeah. Guess what? It's gonna go in the bin or in a garage sale. One or the other. Let me mark off that I did that row so I don't forget. So that was actually 49. Finished row 49. Finished row 49. Let's go back to the sock for a while. Cable, the vest is on a new needle. We are in a good place on the vest. But yeah, that bow, that's not going anywhere, and you can weave that in later. It's fine. Oh, hey, Woban. Oh, links to that, that's fine. That's a useful link. Thanks, Tessalina. You never swatch. What was the swatch discussion? Did I need to knit gauge swatches for your first sweater? Oh, nice. I did not actually swatch for this. I did not swatch for the vest. It's a good idea. And look, if you go back in my stream, remember Orkney, like that thing I knitted 8 years ago that I knitted the whole thing and it didn't fit me and wouldn't go on me. Like that was a fail and could have been avoided. Oh, hey, Happy Stebbins. Tore a trail. What? Wow. Eventful day. But it's a vest. This is going on the outside of clothes. I know with this particular wool about what my tension, like which size needle I should use, so I actually didn't bother. Like I'm just kind of thinking about maybe what I'll do is I'll thread it onto some scrap wool and have him pull it over and actually measure it up against another one just to double check before I go too much further. But I can tell by eyeballing it. It's going to be fun. I mean, hell, it will probably fit me. Maybe it's a little big. We'll see. Let's go back to the sock. My hand's a different challenge. Switch back to the sock. Happy Stabbins, you missed my 100th follower party that we had a few moments ago. That was exciting. Woban, I think I saw on your Insta were you applying some yarn yesterday or something like that? Thought I saw something like that. You missed what? Yeah, I hit 100 followers. We had 100 followers. Finally, triple digits. Excitement. That's all. Not a big deal. Thank you. Doing ply on the fly, woman. Woman, why does your name have a camera? What is next to it? Are you... Is that a little camera? What is that? Turbo. Oh, turbo. I don't know what that means. You're trying to maintain an online presence like Alizara. Ali is everywhere. Yeah, Ali's turned up on all of my streams lately, which is really nice. Like even I think yesterday we were just the only one on there. We were having Ali and I were having a lovely little chat. Probably helps that we're in the same time zone. Old school Twitch subscription. Oh, that's what it is. Oh, are you kidding? I'm a thrower. I can do both. When I do Fair Isle, I do one in the left hand. But we talked about on this, Alizar and I have talked many times, there's no right or wrong way to knit. I often think whatever way you were taught, it's extremely hard to break out of that. Like I can do it continental style. I can pick. I'm not as fast with. It's probably better. I know it's better for your hands. It's smaller movement, but it still feels a little awkward to me. Also very right-handed. Yeah. The throwing style is definitely more popular in the U.S. And I feel like in Australia as well, where I was. It's how I learned. I learned it as an adult. I didn't do it as a kid, but it's very hard. I have a very exaggerated throw too. Like I take my right hand like entirely off the needle when I throw. And you can do a little flick, but I often do it quite exaggerated, like take my whole right hand off the needle. Pretty fast though. My goodness, this is the first time I've had so much chat. It's like actually hard for me to keep up with it, you guys. That is so nice. Make it wider and make it taller so I can see. There we go. That's better. Now I can see more. The pick throw shame? Oh, no shame. Who makes you feel shame? That's terrible. Holding the right needle like a pencil. Yeah, I've seen people, the people who hold it that way. Nope. I grab it over the top and throw it like a monkey. That's just... Yeeting, yeah, I totally yeet the yarn. That's definitely, we need to make yeeting happen as a knitting technique, definitely. So now that we've got a good group here, did you all see this tweet yesterday? I shared it. I think Ali was the only one who saw it yesterday, but I shared this tweet, which, with Fair Isle, we were talking a little bit about Fair Isle. When I was knitting Orkney, I kept talking about yarn dominance. That is an example of yarn dominance. That is knitted exactly the same way with the colors in different hands. The knitter has put down the yarns and picked them up in the wrong hands, and you can see what a difference it makes in terms of the actual way the pattern looks. So I saved a screenshot of it because it is like a primo example. Exact same pattern, exact same yarns, just swapping the hands. I'm sure the style would also have make some difference to the tension as well, but yeah, that to me was really obvious. Yeah, so normally like with Fair Isle, um, the way I just always do it is keep my background color in my right hand and the contrast color in the left hand. That's basically it. You just want to be consistent, whichever way you do it. Be consistent. It's if you do it one way and then change, like this jumper I'm wearing. I always kept the blue in my right hand, and carry the red in my left, and then I think when I introduced the yellow, I would then replace the blue with the yellow. You just need to have a system so that it's consistent. Because it's when you put it down at the end of the day, when you pick it up the next day and you put the wrong color in the wrong hand, you just have a rule for yourself on which color goes in which hand or make a note. Well, that's assuming you're doing one color in each hand. If you're doing, you know, if you're carrying both colors in the same hand, you just have to be careful about which one is on top of the other one. Yeah, I suppose if you, yeah, depending on if your tension is exactly the same with both hands, sure. I still would like to see a demonstration of that. I still find that hard to believe that it wouldn't make some subtle difference. You would pick it up and start knitting the wrong, like knit back the wrong direction. Yeah, that can happen. Especially if it's a tube and you've, pushed it inside out or something as well. Ha. So that was the good part of working in the knitting store, was actually helping people. It's just for every nice customer who wanted to learn something, there were like three others who were just jerks yelling at you like you were a waitress. So I did switch to doing magic loop for these socks because I'm doing one at a time. I like doing the two circulars when I'm doing two socks, but for one, might as well just use one. Yeah, if someone tells you you're knitting wrong, that's a very good sign that they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Like even we were talking, a few streams ago, Alizar and I were, figuring out that they knit continent or not continental combination style, and that's cool. Um, things are only a problem if it doesn't look like what you expect it to look like, and you want to know why. Which again, with the yarn dominance, there's a good example. There's also a book. I don't think I brought it. Yes, I did. I did bring it with me. Hang on one second. Anne Fidelson. I forgot I didn't know I brought it with me from Australia. So this book is great. and it talks about the yarn dominance, and it's got examples. Let me see if I can find some examples where she's got different patterns knitted with different in different hands, and you can see the distinction. Color. It's about putting colors together. Why certain colors work better. So look, it's the same pattern, but she's doing different samples showing you what it looks like and why your eye likes some of them better than others. Like that one I find quite hard to look at. But I thought there was definitely a bit with the yarn dominance. This is picking out colors, picking out ribbing. I should go. I haven't looked at this book in forever. It's a really good one. What's the index say? She doesn't use that term, dominance. History, patterns, holding the yarn. So that's telling about which, so you can hold it in one hand, you can hold them in different hands. Ha! There you go, this is the one. So it's talking about whether you hold the dark yarn on top or on bottom. And it's showing the distinctions. Whether you want the light colors to show up more, the dark colors to show up more. And when it's inconsistent, it looks irregular. So yeah. Anyway, interesting book. You can find it. Anne Fidelson. A lot of history about it. But the upshot is just be consistent. Oh. Woolly Dragon. Okay. Where is it, an online yarn store or is it like an in-person yarn store? The book doesn't have a full-on library of motifs. It's got like, it does have some traditional patterns though. You know, it's got some children's patterns. It's very traditional stuff. I need to go through this because there's some gorgeous things in here that I wouldn't mind making. Back on my yoke ferrule stuff. Oh, that's gorgeous. Oh, I like that. That's really pretty too. I have to look at these. Online shop. Okay. You were combination knitter. Oh. Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking. That's exactly Teslina saying exactly the conversations we've been having. That yep. As long as you like what it looks like, it's fine. But some of your decreases and things might look slightly different. Some countries it's a norm to have everything in combination knitting. Yeah, well, I mean this vest, the ribbing at the bottom was all twisted ribbing. It definitely makes it's tighter. It definitely makes the fabric tighter if you knitted every knit stitch twisted. This is like Techniques roundtable today. The Woolly Dragon. I'm gonna have to look that up. I used to worry that my hands were going to be, yeah, that pain in my hands or arthritis was going to be a limiting factor. I'm starting to realize now the bigger factor, what's going faster is my eyesight for doing these thinner wools. I think I need reading glasses. Okay, I'll have a look at Willy Dragon. Don't need to buy any more wool. Got so much. I've got that Twista from Hobby. I want a twister. I want to knit up. Look at something far away from the work every 20 minutes. I think it's more to do with the fact that for the past 16 months, I've spent every day sitting in front of a screen. I feel like that's really accelerated it. Like by the end of the day, my eyes are just tired. It's much easier to do the socks earlier in the day when I've got strong daylight and my eyes are still pretty fresh. I'm liking that broken rib, especially that sort of kind of flecky bit you get every now and then on the purl stitches. That's kind of cool. Should also stop and stretch every now and then. Oh. I feel like I need to crack my back. Okay, that's good to know. I spend far too long staring at a screen. Yoga eye exercises. I wear contacts. I've been nearsighted my whole life. It's just since in the last like sort of 3-4 years, I've noticed it's the first time I've had to move things away to focus. You're going to DPN. Oh, you're casting off something, or are you're finishing off a beanie? Just pull the loop out. You don't have to switch to DPNs. Just pull out the extra cable. I'm so anti-DPNs. Oh, my husband says he's having coffee and cake. I want some too. I will request some coffee and cake. Third cup of coffee. Whew. I limit it to 2 a day or I won't sleep. And I promised him I would make, I'm gonna wrap up here, folks. I'll go have a coffee and cake, and then I promised him I would make zucchini bread because I have an extra zucchini in the fridge. And we both really like zucchini bread. And he's making me homemade pizza for dinner. So we're having a carb fest today. When in Germany, right? Drills with your eyes. Look. Oh, okay. That sounds neat. Oh, he baked the cake. He's finishing off down there. He baked the lemon. He's a much better baker than I am. He baked a lemon cake. We can rate someone. So I've only ever done this like once, and I had no idea what I was doing. So my understanding is, let's see. So I click the raid button. We find someone, and then I have to stop my stream in OBS, right? That's how it works? Because I think that was the bit that I screwed up last time. Yeah. All right, let me get to the, let me do one more round. Let me do one more round. It'll take him, he's got to make the coffee. It's going to take him a few minutes. Oh, I didn't know you could do it on the command. I just did it by clicking the quick action last time, I thought. But yeah, I think the first time I did it, I screwed it up. And then once you start the host, you can, okay, all right. The quick action is buggier than the Chang. That's a good tip. I will do the chat command then. Cause yeah, that was like, I want to pay it forward because that was how a bunch of people found me originally. I would have never sort of kept going if I hadn't had the encouragement of somebody rating me. Yeah, some people do swear by DPNs. I have friends who still prefer them. I just found them awkward. Okay, I'm finishing this round. What have I done today? I did several rows on the cabled vest. Moved it to the Addy Turbo because the Denise are going in the bin. Did several more rows on the sock, the Slytherin sock, which is shaping up nicely. He's got very wide feet. All right. All right, I'm gonna see. So what do? I type raid channel, but I don't know what channel, what channel? How do I know what channels are happening? Doesn't tell me. Okay. Oh, Red and the Wolf is... Oh, we gotta go to Red. Red's great. All right, I'm gonna... So, Red and the Wolf design. So, if I do that, I can do... Raid Red and the wolf designs. All right, everybody good? Yeah. Yeah, red's lovely. Okay, it's gonna happen. All right, so when it happens, I shut my stream down. Okay, everybody, see you later. I'm clicking the raid now button. Okay. I clicked it, and I'm gonna shut down my stream, and I will see you all next weekend, all right? If not sooner. Thanks for joining me. Bye.